Hey, what's going on everybody? Drizzy Pups here, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about what you should initially know when you start playing Rainbow Six Siege. Right now I'm on the defender side, where you're defending the objective, which is like a gas bomb or something like that. And right now what we're doing is kind of like setting up. I kind of skipped the whole setup initially. What you want to do, depending on who you are, if you're the class mute, immediately go and like set up jammers everywhere in the main spots in the hallways and stuff like that, so that way that the enemy doesn't get their drones out. And earlier you saw me shoot a drone. If you see a drone, immediately try and shoot it, because the second that the enemy, the attackers find the objective, they'll have a little yellow marker that will help them understand and know where to go and when to infiltrate and stuff like that. It's so much better if you just like take out their means of identification, like identifying the objective, so that way it takes them a little bit longer for them to reach you and have a little bit more trouble. And then after that you want to like set up all the barricades. You want to put your traps last if you're Capcan. I just found out that his name is Capcan instead of Kaplan, but whatever. Anyways, and like, you know, huddle down in a spot. Make sure that you barricade all the walls that the enemy can blow up, so that way like it's easier to know where and when they're going to attack. You know, like it's a little bit easier to understand like where exactly they may possibly come from, so that way you and your teammates can, like, you know, hunker down and do a defend your position. Now, depending on what your class you are, which this, like, sometimes, like, I imagine the class is kind of like a MOBA game. Each class has their own special ability. Again, like I pointed this out before, like the abilities don't make your class like themselves stronger. You know, like you won't go ham and go on a killing spree. There are some classes that do actually help out with that, but but like most of the time it's usually just it'll just help benefit your teammates, which is what I really like about this game. It's mostly just all about deciding when and where to attack, who you should use, and what would be the most benefit to the team. Also, if you're a defender, you immediately want to have somebody who is a camera person, so that way you can identify exactly where your enemies are coming from, so that way your teammates can understand if they're going to come up the walls or not. So make sure you take full advantage of your cameras. Now, right now, I'm Glaz, who is pretty much, I consider, the sniper class. He has the ability to, you know, increase his scope range, like the distance of his scope, and then like it can go close quarters if you really want to. Like, you can switch off. You'll see it in a bit. He's one of my favorite classes because if you really know how to coordinate with your teammates, you can go to a house or somewhere far away, like camp there, and then have your teammates use a breaching charge and be like, okay, use the breaching charge when you're all set up. Put it on a window or a wall while I set up my position, so that way I can snipe enemies from afar, because like when you shoot a window, most of the time they will go check out, see if anybody's grappling, rappelling down or upwards or somewhere like that. And when they poke their head, you can pop them in the head. So as an attacker, which is what I am right now, you start off with a drone. It's so much better if you coordinate with your teams. You know, like I'll get the downstairs, and you know everybody else will get the upstairs, and it's so much better where it says found bomb A. It's so much better if you guys find where your bombs are. Immediately just go for that. Don't scan for enemies. Don't do that at first. And also your drones have a jumping ability. So when that whole process is all done and stuff, what you want to do is, and I end up dying there because like you never really expect them to pop out and like break open a barrier and, you know, start shooting. But I don't know how that guy knew exactly where we're gonna spawn, so that's whatever. But I ended up dying. But right now, as me, I can be a drone that where the teammates have left it. That stuff right there is very useful. Having a means to identify exactly where the enemies are is very, very beneficial. As you can see, I'm spamming the scan button, and again, like this person had a drone that's like positioned on top of a shelf. Usually the other team is always constantly looking on the floor to see where the drones are, but this teammate who planted it on top of a shelf, I mean, like they'll never be able to like figure out exactly where it's at. It'll take them a longer time to find where your drone is placed, because it's up somewhere rather than down, and it just helps out with knowing where they are exactly. They're moving a lot, but my teammates know they're generally in this area, so be careful. As a dead teammate, this goes for both attackers and defenders. Use the cameras as much as possible to relay nonverbal communications to help identify where the enemies are. If your microphone works, unlike mine, then you can easily just say like, hey, they're in this hallway, you know, be careful, they're coming up the stairs, and use callouts like that. I'm not so sure what the callouts will necessarily be for this game. I'm pretty sure it'll be just as obscure as Counter-Strike's callouts, but once we establish like an actual callout system with this game, then it'll definitely be a little bit more easier. So for now, I'd recommend just holding down X and just being like, yeah, they're over there, be careful. Sometimes your teammates just are really dumb and they just don't pay attention to that stuff. So as I pointed out, I am Capcan, and what he is a guy who sets up traps and stuff. I highly recommend setting up his traps last. So as Capcan, I would just barricade everything and put your barbed wires down everywhere as much as possible. And then like if an enemy sees you placing your traps, they'll be like, oh, he's on this door like there's a trap on this door area, be careful. So as you can see, like I'm immediately gravitating towards like reinforcing the walls, so that way they don't have a means to like break in and enter. And if you each actual classes will start off with 2 reinforced walls, but if you're a recruit, you only get 1, which kind of sucks. And there's like an example of like the radar jamming that drone. It's very important. Again, if you're mute, I think like mute is a lot like a better like should be always chosen for defenders, because like if you don't, if again, like if the enemies can't find where they need to attack, they'll just take a lot more time. But if they see a bunch of enemies in an area, they'll be able to understand like, okay, they're probably in this area, so eventually that type of stuff wouldn't even matter. But it still helps out a lot, because this map itself is really, really garbage, and so I would highly recommend just if you're playing on this map, the dock boating map area, like right there you can see the boat, just find the bomb as much as possible and try and like race yourself there, because sometimes like you spawn in an obscure location where it will take you a long time for you to get there. Now time isn't necessarily a big deal, because honestly like the amount of time that they give you is plenty of time, trust me, especially if you know exactly where you need to go. It's good. Right here, like I'm just making myself a little cubby hole to be able to like see exactly what my teammates are doing, see if they need help, giving like a bigger over like a bigger point of view, or another point of view to help them out, just in case. Right here I decided to take down our own barriers. You can always put your own barriers, and then my teammate for some reason decided to try and kill me. I don't know why, but like he did some damage. I don't know what's going on with that guy, but I really I don't know if matchmaking is good or if it's just the players themselves, but sometimes like you'll get one of those garbage people, and right here they're shooting that area, and it's actually a lot better if you're on the attacking team to like blow up a few windows and then walk away from it, and then wait for another set of teammates to like make their way, because like if you see like stuff like that, like if you see a window being destroyed, you'll instantly want to like look at that area, and focus on that and be like, oh, are they gonna come out or are they not? It's actually better if you waited to break in and enter. And right there, I kind of screwed up my little charge placement. I wanted to throw it on the window, so right now I'm just like breaking it. Having that C4 charge is actually really useful. I don't really make the best of use of it at this point, but it can be very useful if you know what you're doing. I've done it before, and it's actually very useful. You can use it to blow up walls as well, since like defenders don't even get their own breach charges. So having somebody with like a C4 wall or a C4 bomb, you'll be able to blow walls up yourself and clear a path to surprise the enemy, because they'll usually never expect it, because they're usually the ones that are blowing up the walls. Now honestly, like, I wish I knew exactly what like type of loadout that my teammates are using. Like, are they going to use shotguns? Are they going to use machine guns? Is somebody going to be long range or whatever? I wish like you can see their loadouts, but you don't. I don't know if that's like a big deal with most people, but for some reason it's just an issue with me. I'd like to know if I should get my shotgun if we don't have anybody who will be close quarters. You know what I mean? Because shotguns are pretty powerful. If you can get like a really good one shot on somebody, and you can spam it as well. So there's really no skill to using the shotgun. But shotgun does have a really short range. So like I said before in my earlier videos, like submachine guns will act out like submachine guns, shotguns will act like shotguns. You can't long range shoot a shotgun no matter how hard you try. Trust me. So if you're gonna go shotgun, you better dedicate yourself to being short range and understanding how far the range can go. So be careful with that. And again, like we're doing the drone things to try and identify. We already found it, so I'm trying to make my way out of here. Knowing the maps obviously helps out a lot. Right here, I'm just trying to be cute because I was running out of time. But that's a good spot to like hide your drone just in case if you need it to be down there. Again, like hiding your drones up somewhere is very useful. They'll never be able to look and find it if you put it up somewhere high, like on a shelf. So remember that if you actually have a good team. Now, also just like a side note on the attackers, blowing up walls is actually really beneficial. I mean, I mentioned it before, like when you blow up stuff, you actually want to wait. Sometimes it's better to attack immediately if they catch on to your tactic that like, oh, these people blew up this wall, so they're probably going to wait out. So, but like having two different characters like blow holes into the wall, it'll make them focus on both those sides, and if one of you guys really want to go on the offensive and start attacking, I highly recommend doing that while the other team waits for that as a distraction. Another good strategy, especially with Glaz, is that you have a teammate that blows up walls, so that way you can be on the opposite side of the buildings that you're at and try to snipe people down. Personally, I recommend changing out the iron scope for Glaz, is because like his gun model is so fat, it kind of like blocks out a lot of your vision cone. So I would recommend just getting like a normal reflex scope if you're going to be Glaz. But right here, I switched to my pistol, just so that way, like when I'm going close quarters, like I'll be able to have at least a trusty pistol to like shoot, rather than like having to like aim really well. If you're good at aiming, then by all means like use whatever, like use your semi-automatic rifle. But right here, I'm just like, I'm not that good, and I'm just like searching, like again, like with Counter-Strike, like, just check all of your corners. Another cool thing about this game is that you can crouch and be on like a really like ridiculous prone position. I think I end up doing it here. I managed to get a headshot on that guy, instantly killing them. Headshots are just ridiculously powerful. I highly recommend you just like aim for the head. Like you don't have to. Again, like I pointed out that like you don't need, like you can spam like this guy and just like start like firing everything. You will get them downed or killed, but aiming in this game isn't as important as team like communication, tactics, and whatnot. It's just like, again, like if you have a mic that the game supports, apparently that's a problem with me at least, you'll be able to do a lot better. Like, the skill is just coordination, team coordination. That's one of the highlights, one of the greatest things about this game, is just communicating and knowing when to attack and when not to attack. Also, very, very important is that make sure you check your controls. I really had to play around with my controls quite a bit to understand exactly what is used and what isn't. Having like a mouse with more buttons on it, like extra buttons on it, it can be very helpful. But I ended up changing my controls up quite a bit, because like I just personally don't agree with some of the control mechanics that they have initially. So if before you go into a game, either go to the tutorial or just play around with the settings and be like, would I prefer the crouch button to be shift, or should I have it as control or alt? I don't know, but like I have my crouch as F and I have my prone as control. I think that works out a little bit better. And walking will always be alt. I think that's the initial default setting for walking. It makes sense because, like, you know, if you're walking, you're not necessarily going to be vaulting over things, which is the space bar. You can also change the space bar, because like you don't necessarily, as a defender, you don't necessarily use your space bar quite a bit, so you can probably change that too if you're really comfortable with that. That's just an idea. I don't know if you guys would feel comfortable with that, but just make sure you check your controls first before you start playing the game, because like this game has like a lot of controls, a lot of things that you will be using, and especially with like the gadgets that you're gonna have, having it in a comfortable position where you can whip it out really quickly is it can potentially save you. Because like one time I was like messing with my controls for the gadgets, and I was trying to reach over pressing like 1 and 2, and I was like, which one's 1, which one's 2, which one's my primary gadget, which one's my secondary gadget. It can screw you over, so make sure that you eyeball your controls before you decide to do anything else. And another piece of advice, I mean, I did say that this game is all about tactics and about patience, but I mean, it really is all about that. Like, I highly recommend not rushing in Call of Duty style. It's so much better when you don't use sprint when you're in a close, like in a building situation like this. Like when you're an attacker, you obviously want to sprint first. But it's so much better if you just walk things out or slowly like pace yourself. Always use crouch, because it's a mix of like running and walking. So like I guess you're not necessarily jogging, but you're pretty much fast walking if you're crouching. That's kind of how I consider it. And that's another strategy, is like breaking holes to like and crouching down, so that way you can get another set of like pair of eyes against the wall while still being protected. It's not a foolproof, because you can see like that character is clipping, so fix that, and maybe that strategy would be a lot more fun to do and implement, rather than it being a potentially like a chance of you like dying. But also like use your lean as much as possible. You can walk while you lean. It helps out a lot. You know, it's not necessarily like the coolest thing in the world, but it does really help out. It adds to the tactics as well. And here I am, like I'm just like waiting it out, because like I'm kind of using like my CS:GO knowledge by like strafing and whatnot. Like walking and shooting does not ruin your aiming, but you definitely don't want to spam your bullets, because like that would ruin your recoil. So just like take clicks. Just start clicking your your shoot button, and you'll still always maintain a good aiming thing. And that's the end of the match, and hopefully like stuff like this will help you prepare for this game. There's a lot going on with this game, a lot with the controls, the tactics, and map knowledge. That's just another thing that you're gonna have to learn on your own, because there's a lot. It's like a maze. It's like a maze with the maps, especially if you're an attacker. You know, you got to figure out where you got to go, which one's the fastest way to approach a situation. And that's the end of the video. Hopefully this helps out, and I'll see you guys later. Peace and love.